Hey everybody, this is Steve at Brass Horse Studio, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about some things that you could be doing as a small business owner that will strengthen your small business once you reopen in a post-coronavirus world. Once that quarantine has lifted, your customers are probably going to be looking at doing business a little bit differently with you. So are you ready for that? We're going to discuss that in this video in just a minute. All right, hey everybody, I'm going to talk to you about three things that you could be doing right now as a small business owner, even if you're at home, even if you're kind of furloughed from your business, if the government kind of closed it down because it's not essential, and maybe you've got some other employees working from home and things are just sort of in limbo right now, and you want to be able to use this time wisely. Well, I'm going to talk to you about a few things that are ultra important that you could be doing right now while you may have some, I'm not going to call it extra time, but different time on your hands.
Oh my God. I'm never gonna financially recover from this.
I hope you get value from this video. I think you will. Go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps. And subscribe to the channel if this is of value to you. There's going to be other videos like it. And in the comments below, tell me what your experience has been. What have you encountered? What's happened to you? So let's get right into it. All right, three things, and I'm just going to tell you what they are, and then we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how to enhance or maybe refine or maybe even altogether change the culture of your business. We're going to talk about brand identity and customer engagement. We're going to talk about operations and finances in your business, kind of the technical back of house facing stuff that the customer doesn't particularly necessarily see. Okay, so let's start out with culture. First thing, you could take the time to spend some really good reflection, thinking about your investment in enhancing or cultivating or refining or maybe even redefining the culture of your company. Dadgummit, why can't you people fill up the coffee maker after it says add water? Every time! This is a great opportunity to think about how your culture could be refined or enhanced using this time to talk to your employees, even your 1099 contractors. I think it's fair to say that probably the language of our company needs to be refined in how we talk to our customers and how we talk to others in a post-coronavirus world. It'd also be good to make sure that we have a way to remember what we learned during this time. Remember what we learned about the operations of our company, but also remember what we learned about our employees and about our customers. I think it's also fair to say that our customer is going to be very different too. They're going to have experienced a new way of shopping. They're going to have experienced a new kind of service. They're going to have experienced a new way of being served at the places where they do business, and they're going to bring those expectations likely back to business when we start reopening post-quarantine. So now is a great time to get our employees, even our 1099 contractors together and really start talking about the difference between what our culture has been and what our culture could be once we begin to reopen our business again in a post-quarantine business world. The culture of your company won't be decidedly different after recovery than it was before if you're speaking the same language you were before, if you and your employees have forgotten what you've learned in the midst of this, or if you assume that the customer is going to be the same. In other words, if you assume that the customer hasn't changed, the customer didn't learn anything, customer preferences haven't been refined in a post-coronavirus market. So now is the time for you and your employees, if you have any, or even your 1099 independent contractors who work closely with you, to talk about what the culture of your company has been. Has it been consistent? Or is it just kind of a hodgepodge of a bunch of different motivational posters and sayings that got said, but actions that never were led? Is it a bunch of things that you talked about, but never managed and never measured? Is it a bunch of aspirations that you had wished for, but didn't act on? Your culture is how things really get done, whether it's different from how you wish they got done or how you thought they got done. But instead, it is how things really get done, not just engaging with your customer. That's your kind of forward face, but it's also what happened in the back room, the value decisions that got made, the vision decisions that got made, the language that got used, how you treated your employees and other stakeholders and creditors and members of your community who weren't customers, how you treated the people who critiqued you or maybe had some kind of suggestion for you. All of that is baked into the cookie that is culture, and they are inextricably linked. You've got biased thinking. We all have biased thinking about what our employees must really think about working for us or with us. And what your customers must really, really think about the company, and how policies and procedures really work. You know, I sent an email about this back in March of last year. It must have changed, certainly, the nature of the way my employees behaved, right? No, it didn't. Values and culture are not a booster shot that's given once every 5 years in a speech, once a year in an email or in a company party. It is the way things get done day to day to day to day to day, and it is encapsulated and captured by everything. It's the sights and sound and taste and smell of your company. So take advantage of right now to refine your culture. Now, that's going to inevitably depend on refining a second element, which is your organizational learning. It's a great time right now to do a little bit of a postmortem, let's not call it that, a little bit of a checkup on what you've been doing for the last 2 or 3 weeks as a business. Is there anything you'd do differently? Is there anything you'd do better? Is there anything you should start doing now as you move forward, or stop doing right now? When we're talking about organizational learning, we're talking about the systems in place by which our employees grow, our executives grow, our owners, for you, for me, business owners. How do we grow? And not only how do we grow, but how do we enact that learning in the organization? How do we translate learning into action? So how do we get it out of our heads and into our hands and our feet and out of our tongues, both with our employees, but also with other stakeholders, with our creditors, with our customers? How does that learning get executed? How does that learning get stored? So is it going to be written down, codified, put in manuals, stored in a cloud, put somewhere where other people can find it? Now is a good time to manage those kinds of things, right? To manage your own development skills, manage your own management skills. Now's a good time to start reading that book you always intended to read, or taking that online course you always intended to take, or have your employees read those books and take those courses with you and talk about them as a company, talk about them as a cohesive group that's building a culture together, right? So how do you sharpen those? How do you sharpen your digital tools and skills? Maybe now's the time to start and launch those social media accounts that you have been intending to launch. Now's a great time. We're going to talk about this in more detail, to become familiar with your finances and financial ratios in your company and trends and things like that. We'll talk about that in more detail, but all of these are encapsulated around this idea of taking the time to refine your organizational learning, because culture isn't going to be kept until both the leadership and all the employees and everybody learns how to learn together. Right? Learns how to analyze what's working, what's not working. What do we start? What do we stop? What do we change? What do we go all in on? Because we've learned that there's a return on investment for this, right? We're throttling hard every day. You know, we don't really stop and talk about whether we're learning anything. We don't really learn anything. We just do. Well, maybe you want to start learning some stuff. So talk about that. The third part of culture that I want to talk about is the language of your company. Has the language of your company changed? And the language of your company should be consistent. The language that is spoken in the back room should be the language that's spoken in the front of the house, right? So you shouldn't be talking about customers in the back like they're an inconvenience and they're a pain, and then go out front and smile and say, give us more money. Thanks for calling Brass Horse Media, where we love our customers and our employees. You stupid idiots. Why don't you ever do exactly what I say, how I say it? Make the language of your company a language that is consistent and consistently used from your lips to the employees' ears, from employees' lips to the customers' ears, from customers' ears to their friends and family's ears, and everything is consistent. The language that's used on the walls, on your brochures, on your social media, these things should be refined into a language that expresses your brand's identity. We're going to segue into that in just a minute. So how did behaviors change during this crisis for you and your employees? If behaviors don't match language, then stakeholders are going to begin to recognize that, and they're going to recognize you by your actions and your behaviors, and they're going to recognize it as inconsistent, and they're going to recognize it as inauthentic. Right? If you say we cared for you, what's the evidence that you cared for them? If we say we cared for our community, what's the evidence that we were caring for our community? If we say we cared for our employees, what is the evidence that we cared for our employees? What did we do? If we didn't set those systems up, then it's going to be kind of hard for us to say that we cared. If we treated our employees badly, that's going to come out in the wash, right? The old saying holds here. What's down in the well is going to come up in the bucket. Okay? So this is a good time to segue into the next item. That's the second one, and that is to take this time to focus on your brand identity and your customer engagement. This is inextricably tied to culture. You cannot separate these things. Love talking to my friend Sean Fox at Pioneer Design about this. I want to tell you what he said. Links to his business are down below. Great friend, super genius with regard to this stuff. I mean, it's in his mind. It's all over him. It's just everywhere in him. And he talks about it so consistently. He said, what will people say about you and your business after this quarantine is over? Your brand isn't your logo. It isn't your colors, your typefaces, or your style. It's your reputation that precedes you and follows you through all the conversations and the memories of your customers and even people who have never done business with you. That's incredible stuff. And listen, understand, yes, it's a good time to think about maybe creating a refined logo and having people like the designers like Sean work on those things for you. But your business isn't a changed logo. That doesn't mean you've changed your business. Right? It's in the language that you use. It's in the expressions that you use. It's in the physical way you do business, the way your customers interact with you, the way your creditors interact with you. And it goes so much deeper than that. So you're going to have the opportunity for a relaunch and a reopening on recovery. Even if you've been operating through this, you're going to kind of have an opportunity when they finally, pull the cord and say, hey, listen, we're ready. This date, we're going to start allowing non-essential businesses to reopen back up. Your customers are going to have a new set of expectations that changes probably were made. So this is a great opportunity to relaunch those changes with a refined, better understood, much more consistent brand identity. Should your vision change? Should your values change? Should some of your customer engagement processes change? Should who you engage with as a small business owner change? Maybe during this time, you have found some great resources for mentoring and coaching and advising. Maybe they're people you can interact with personally, and maybe some of them are more online sources. I don't know, maybe it's Brass Horse, but there are some people maybe you need to give them more exposure to you and more exposure in your life. And maybe you've seen conduct from people that have been speaking into your life during this quarantine. You're like, you know what? I don't know. I don't think I'd handle my business that way. And maybe you need to give them a little less exposure. And they need to become a little smaller part of your business life. Engage through social media. Now is a great time to leverage a social media community. It is never too late to launch that. And do that now. People want right now to feel related to something. They want to be reminded of old times. Are you telling them now that you're thinking about them, that they're cared for, they're wanted, they're valued? Or you wait until you open the doors back up to tell them that? Because I'm going to tell you something, your competitors aren't waiting. They're telling them right now. Love my friends at Canal Side in, I think it's pronounced Rehoboth, Delaware, on Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Canal Side Inn. Fantastic. Love them. The Deptulas. They are killing it. They are crushing it with this particular thing. A week ago, they had Spirit Week, encouraging their customers to post pictures that reflected the spirit of Rehoboth. They have had dog picture contests. They're dog friendly inn and beautiful place. I've been watching them nearly every day, if not every day. I get a post on social media with Canal Side. They are crushing it, staying top of mind, engaging with their customers. And you know what? Their expression, their language of their culture is consistent. It is spot on. It is who I know them to be personally. And it comes through in their photos. It comes through in the colors they're using in their end. They are doing a great job. Canal Sign In Rehoboth Beach. There's links to them in their social media account, website, things like that in the description below. Another thing that you can do during this time with regard to brand identity and customer engagement is to offer rewards for engagement. So this can kind of bring down acquisition costs post-corona. Your customers have been shopping. Even if they haven't been spending money, they've been shopping. Got a lot of time on their hands. They're looking at what competitors are saying. They've been studying. They've been planning purchases for when they're able to make those purchases. So the question is, have you been part of that engagement? So here's a great idea. Some businesses right now are selling discounted future gift cards. So you can buy a gift card now, discounted, maybe 80 cents on the dollar. I've heard them down as low as 66.7, about 2/3 of a dollar. And this is a great way to both give your customers something to look forward to when you're open again, but it gives you a way to get some cash flow in right now, and it gives your customers one more thing. It's sitting there, maybe it's electronic and it's an email that's sitting in their inbox, or it's something physical that they can hold on to, and it's reminding them to come do business with you when this is all open again. So it's a great form of engagement that provides some cash flow. Here's what I know. I know that customers are shopping right now. Customers are, even if they're not spending the money, they're shopping, they're researching, they're deciding to spend in the future. They're looking forward to it. So be a part of that engagement. Give them something to look forward to at your business, coming back to your business. So this brings us to the third and final tip, and that is to pay attention and to start refining and improving the back of house operations and finances. Now is a great time to be shoring up your physical business and the operations, logistics, plant, property, and equipment resources that you need to relaunch. Now is a time when you can train people on better ways to use the equipment, clean the facility, freshen up the curb appeal. You can repaint, change those lights that have been burnt out, or maybe upgrade your lighting system to something more efficient, LEDs, something like that. Change the brightness, change the color, change whether people can see clearly in your business, see into the business clearly and see activity there, freshen up that parking lot, make it more safe, work on the sign, even change the way that customers move through your facility. Maybe you can make that more friendly to them, or put them, have them move past higher, more profitable items, or have more comfort around each other when they're standing in line, those kinds of things. Now is a great time to do research on new processes and machines and hardware and software that can help your operations either become more efficient or can help you engage with that customer with less friction for them, make it more responsive for them and responsive for you, and give you more data, more information that can help you help them in the future. Become familiar with the financial performance and financial ratios of your company more so than you ever have been. Become intimately, more so than you ever have been. Become intricately familiar with your financial performance, ratios of financial performance. If you have an accountant, ask your accountant to provide you with more detailed information. Look at your company's seasonality, its cyclicality. Now is a good time to look back on investments you've made, on improvements or improved processes, and things like that. Maybe it was some marketing campaigns or something like that, awareness campaigns, social media campaigns, and look back and see, was there actually any performance change as a result of those? Now is a good time to pour into the books and really become intimately familiar with them. Customer-related metrics like customer acquisition costs. How much did you spend in marketing? What was the ROI for that? Did you get a blip in revenues, or did you get a blip in costs as a result of certain investments that you've made? And what has been the actual return? Last thing I want to leave you with is, are you familiar with your best customer? And I don't mean the person, I mean the persona, the kind of customer that is your best customer, your most profitable customer, your most frequent, the person who shops with the most frequency, or that tends to use and take advantage of reward campaigns or referral campaigns, brings the most people with them, those kinds of things. So maybe the conclusion is, I don't know that information. And so the right question would be to ask, well, why don't I know that information? Am I using the right kinds of software that will help me capture that information and track that information and allow me to study it? Or maybe I already have it and I just haven't been using it because I don't know how to use it. Now's a good time to learn how to use it, right? Perhaps you need to change the point of sale system by which you capture payment and the kinds of details that are caught at that payment so that you can further engage and interact with that customer. Maybe you need to get their email or their address for some reason or something like that. But now is a good time to determine the characteristics of who the ideal or best customer is in your business, the most profitable. In other words, these are the people that you invest the least in to get the biggest reward from in your company. That is your community. That's your tribe. Those are the people who probably understand you the best. And those are the people you want to be engaging with even now and reminding them, hey, we are here. We love you. We are looking forward to having you back. We want to interact with you. Here's an opportunity to interact with us. Go ahead and buy something now through a gift card. If you don't have the capability of selling something online, maybe you can't, maybe the government has you closed, but you can still offer them the opportunity to participate in a discounted gift card program. Again, it's not that we have extra time, but we have different time now. As small business owners and as people that are trying to just leverage the hard work you've been putting in for some kind of engagement and loyalty and hopefully future community and tribe from our customers. So I hope this video has been of help to you. If it has, please like, that helps a lot, and subscribe. I'll have other videos like this out there. Hey, write down in the comments what's been working for you, what you've been doing, if any, or what you would like to see some future videos on, as I can research this stuff and maybe get them out there for you. Okay, would love to hear from you. So I hope you and your family are doing well and you're healthy, and thank you for watching so much.